Hey guys, happy baby name Monday. Today's name list is so gorgeous. Lots of names you would never have heard before and some really wearable ones as well. So I always pick names that I genuinely love myself, and this trend is the aesthetic trend for names. So have you seen this trend? It is absolutely huge for everything at the moment. I feel like if you just write the word aesthetic, actually yeah, in my YouTube title it will be there, then it shows that it is something that's going to be very beautiful, and these names are all very beautiful. It's got boy and girl names. So the trend was really a really old philosophy from like the 19th century, when it was appreciation of art just for being beautiful. So whether that was like a painting or a play, remember like how if you look at old paintings, they've all got like a kind of religious message or a story, or plays used to be like morality tales and things like that. It was this kind of shift to like, let's just appreciate the beauty in things just for what they are. And you can take that aesthetic kind of lens into anything, but particularly names. How many times we're like, I just love this name, I don't know why. A lot of these names have got maybe more difficult to say because they're kind of just so beautiful, and sometimes to make those sounds you need to sort of play around a little bit with letters. So I'll go boy, girl, boy, girl. First name in this trend is the name Tenafriti. Isn't that such a unique name? It's actually an Egyptian female name, and it means she of a beautiful land. I have been to Egypt once, so many years ago, but never to like proper Egypt, but it's such a gorgeous name, Tenafriti. I feel like it doesn't really have boho vibes, it's maybe got more like goddess vibes, and I think it's just so unique with a little lovely F in the middle. What do you think of Tenafriti? For boys, how about the name Bastian? So I'm sure you've heard this name. It's short for Sebastian, but it is relevant as a name all by itself. It means revered, but to me, I feel like it's got that real beauty, maybe beginning with the B. It's really kind of more gentle than a Sebastian, just Bastian. Really cool and unique name. I love the idea of using the word antiquity as a name. It's so gorgeous. Antiquity is basically ancient times, or something that's worth a lot can be an item of great antiquity, so very ancient and valuable and special. And I just think ancient sounds bad for a baby, but I just think antiquity, I mean, we're even using Antigone a bit more as a kind of goddess name, but I think antiquity is just so pretty and it just looks gorgeous written down. Can you imagine that on your like little birth announcement, antiquity? Yes. The next name means wise or measurement, and it's a Muslim name. It's named Qais. So you have to say it with the pronunciation on the end. So we have Kai as a really popular Hawaiian name that's kind of come through. But how about Qais? I just think with the S at the end, it really softens it. I love it written down. It just looks so pretty. And I love that meaning of being wise as well. So a goddess name, she was actually the daughter of the god of the ocean. And this name is Eidothea. Eidothea. So Thea has been rocketing through the charts, but the longer form of it, not so much. And I feel like it's got this really lovely blend of almost like a Edie and then the Thea, so it's Eidothea is how you say it. So it's really beautiful, really soft. As I said, it's a goddess name, and I just think those are always gorgeous. It's also the name of two rainforest trees, which makes it so stunning as well. So the two rainforest trees in New South Wales and Queensland in Eastern Australia. So actually the trees were named after the goddess. But I really love the name Eidothea. It's new to me. It's a daring choice, but do you like it? The boys, how about Davion? That's cool, isn't it? With the V in the middle. I've never heard it before. My dad's name is actually a blend-up. This is a blend-up of David and Dion, Davion, but it really works. I like the ending of it, and I feel like that really completes it. My dad's name is Davro, made up of David and Robert, but I feel like Davion is cooler. It's kind of elevated. Sorry, Dad. How about Crescent as a name? I'm really obsessing over this at the moment. I know that often people live in a crescent. It's sort of a place name as well, but you get the crescent of the moon. And crescent actually means increasing or growing. So when something's in the crescent, it's kind of on its way through growth, which I think is a really beautiful name for your family, increasing and growing when you have a baby. I just think it works really well. And I think with scent at the end, it makes it really aesthetic as well. Such a pretty name that no one's using. The next name is an ancient Greek name, and these are getting really popular, this trend for sort of ancient Greek or Roman names. And one that's not being used yet is the name Acacius. So I would normally say Acacius, It's just the way that I would say it in British, but I think the traditional would be Acacius, so they say the ka rather than ka. Acacius. That's how I was saying it. So you could say it either way. I really believe that when it travels around, we do have different pronunciations, even between around Europe, we have different pronunciations of things. So Acacius is how I'm going to stick with saying it, and I just really love it. I think there was this S sounds in it, but it sounds really boyish. It's really interesting. You could have Casey as a nickname. What do you think of Acacius? The name Ferelith. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. It is ancient Scottish name, Irish name, Ferelith. It is so lovely. I love names like that. You just want to say again and again, and it means sovereign. So it kind of means princess, really, Ferelith. Again, really underused and pretty as a picture girl name. I really love the name Truett. I think it's so wearable. I love True, I love virtue names. Truett is more popular than things like Truman and things like that, and I think you can see why with a double T at the end. It just feels really wearable. Maybe an elevation of like an Elliot, Truett. I love that it means river bend as well. It's just so aesthetic, so romantic, works perfectly for this trend and would be a really cool choice for a little boy. Lorelei. I find that the Lorelei. I'm from Wiltshire and we sort of roll our R's a little bit, so I probably couldn't use that Lorelei. But it's such a beautiful name. It's one that I first saw it as in a novel, and I was like, how do you pronounce that? A bit like Hermione in Harry Potter, Lorelei, but it's a mermaid name. She was a mythical siren who would like lure sailors in. So kind of enchanting name, Lorelei. I think if you love names like Lily, but they're just so popular, Elle names are so beautiful for girls, and Lorelei is one of the most pretty aesthetic names. And Elle names for boys, this actually could be for girls as well, is the name Laszlo. I love it. Again, I think it's so aesthetic. I love the Z in it, I love the sound of it, I love the story behind it, because Laszlo is actually a Hungarian name, and Laszlo was a Hungarian philosopher of science, so he did a lot of work into, let me get this right, quantum consciousness, which I'm quite into. That include Reiki? I'm having Reiki later. Quantum consciousness, but really explaining our consciousness essentially. So couldn't get more aesthetic than that. The name Laszlo, I just think it works so beautifully. I love Lo as a nickname. I always have, and I never thought of Laszlo as the longer form of it. It means glorious ruler, so kind of even in the same family as like a Hugo. But if you want to be a bit more daring and go with something that's still super wearable, you could go Laszlo. More known is the name Hyacinth. I just think it's so aesthetic because it's got that uniqueness to it. It's a sort of pretty one to say, it looks so gorgeous on paper. It literally means a flower, and it's got a gorgeous story where it was from a youth who was loved by Apollo, and when he died, a flower spurted out of his blood. It was named after him, Hyacinth. So it just means flower. Those mythologies, honestly, I read them and they're so bizarre. But I really love the name. It's that beautiful colour as well, and it's such an underused floral name. When they're all in the top charts, you could have a little hyacinth and everyone would think that was so adorable. It's such an unusual name. Not many names begin with that sound. For boys, how about Brooks? I really love adding an S to the end of word names. I think it makes them sound so trendy. Brooks meaning small stream. We hear brook a lot for girls and boys, but Brooks with the S, it's kind of got that extra edge to it that I think makes it really aesthetically beautiful, and beautiful to look at, beautiful to say. Kind of got a surname as first name vibe as well, so very, very trendy. Jimena. So this name actually starts with an X. It's a Spanish name, but you would say Jimena, and it means she who listens. So that'll be a lucky parent if you have a little Jimena who listens. My friend has a daughter called Jimena. Her husband's Mexican, and I just loved it as soon as I saw it. It looks so beautiful. Almost has kind of written down almost like Gothic vibes a little bit with the X at the beginning. I just think it's just a really special name, but it is really wearable. Our little Jimena lives here in London, and everyone gets her name straight away. We can all say it. It's just an interesting name, but you want to hear it again. You want to know how to spell it. Another ancient name, I've gone so far back in time with this aesthetic list, is the name Khepri. So this is a gaming character, I'm sure, so it mainly comes up on like gaming channels, Khepri, but I just think again with the K and the H, really into that look, Khepri. And at the moment the name Capri, after the place, is really getting popular for girls. It's a bit of a hipster name, and I think Khepri, who is the sun god. So he was in charge of the sun rising in the morning, which is so beautiful. Sun for your son, Khepri. So you can't go wrong with it. It's such a lovely name. And last up for girls is the name that I always pronounce wrong. So I wanted to give myself another go, and it's the name Calliope. I love this name. I do a podcast with my sister all about baby names, and she really does not like this name. So I think probably these names on this list are going to be polarizing, but I love the name Calliope. I like Callie because it means beautiful, and Calliope means beautiful voice. So I just think it's really trendy. I like the name Penelope so much, and I think Calliope is just kind of a different version of it that really, really works for me. Let me know, do you like these girl names, or are you sort of on the fence with them like my sister would be? And my very last one for boys is the name Auden. So again, with that A and the U, A and the U, like Audrey, is the sound, it's the phonics. Auden is sort of the male version of Audrey, and it means old friend. So I just absolutely love it for that. It also has got another funny meaning, what was, oh yeah, half Danish. Auden must sound like half Danish, which should be funny for us because my husband's Swedish, so we couldn't have done that, even though we have a son called Finn. Well, it's not very clever. Auden, so I really love that name. I think it's so gorgeous, so aesthetic, with the A and the U, so beautiful, really rounded up. There was obviously the poet W.H. Auden as well, so it's got kind of like that poetry vibe through it. I super enjoy putting together that list of aesthetic baby names. Obviously baby names do go through my filter. It might be my aesthetic and it might not be perfect for you, but I hope you find them beautiful. I hope you find them interesting as well. If you love all things baby names, I would love it if you hit subscribe. I do new name lists every single Monday and have for ages. There is a whole backlog in the, I'll link it in the comment section below. You can also find me over on Pinterest with all my list of names. You can find the podcast Baby Name Envy anywhere you listen to your podcast, which is a dilemma show, and you can find the Instagram community Baby Name Envy if you want to ask a question. There's loads more coming up. Thank you everyone who's emailed me about Baby Name Academy. That is coming up as well. My email address is below if you want to do that. Basically, I've baby name boomed. I'm doing it all. And I will see you on my next name list. Thanks so much, guys. Bye-bye.